I would love to get more involved with non-Muslims, but how do you deal with the awkward situations of becoming too friendly, I guess, with the opposite sex or the opposite gender? They want to greet you, hugs, kisses, catch you off guard. How do you make them understand? Alright. It's funny because me and Dr. Alta we're actually having a conversation over lunch about how we get out of awkward situations. You know what my thing is? Whenever and you guys can try, whenever like I see any woman coming at me, like ready to hug me or embrace me, I'm like, can you give me a peace sign? She gives me a peace sign. I'm like, this is pretty cool, isn't it? I was like, all right, now let me explain to you why I can't touch you. So, you laugh it off, and look, let's face it, one of the reasons why, and I'm going to try to word this the right way, inshallah, but one of the reasons why, when we go to interfaith dialogues, when we participate in interfaith service, it's so awkward is because, traditionally speaking, conservative Muslims or Orthodox Muslims never expose themselves to those fields. So the Muslims that have been representing us in those fields for the last however many years have been people that are very loosely associated with Islam. So, the person that's Muslim has been there and serving here and that kind of stuff, and she has no problem hugging guys, he has no problem hugging girls, they have no problem holding hands and singing kumbaya, right? So, what's your problem? And look, let's face it, Muslims who were observant have traditionally shied away from these fields because they want to avoid those awkward situations. Well, look, if you ignore it for another 10 years, it'll only get more awkward in 10 years. So eventually we have to wet our feet and get in this field, inshallah ta'ala, and show what an observant Muslim does. How an observant Muslim can still be friendly, courteous, okay? We can still be courteous with each other. There is a precedent for that in the Sunnah. Okay, we can be courteous with each other, inshallah ta'ala, even with members of the opposite gender without being flirtatious. We're teaching people how to observe those bounds. And alhamdulillah, honestly, that's something that I really struggled with when I got involved in the sphere of interfaith, because when I first got involved in interfaith, I was a lot more conservative, I think, than I even am now. Not that I hope I haven't become watered down per se, but I was probably a little bit more overzealous, and I was really concerned. Like, man, what am I going to do? I was really nervous. Like, I remember I would go to interfaith dialogue, and before I would get out of the car, why are the lights going on? My mic gonna get cut now?
You may have to fundraise for the electric bill.
Speaking of never involving a fundraiser. I remember I would, literally, before I would get in to the interfaith dialogue, I would take my hand and I would rub it on the tire, so that no one would try to touch me. Because I'd walk in there with like all this black stuff all over my hands and stuff like that. It's like no one was even going to dare. Right, I'd have a tissue and I'd act like I was sick, right? I'm, blowing my nose and stuff like that. And it worked. It worked. But eventually, I think people just got the point, like, all right, because that's like an excuse that you use in high school when you're going late to class and you say that your car broke down. You got, stuff. Actually, I shouldn't be giving you guys those tips. But there are ways. Honestly, we have to wet our feet, inshallah. We have to get in those fields so that we make it less awkward for the generations to come that also want to be observed in that.
The only thing to add to what Sheikh Omar was saying, we were discussing this earlier, is that most people who are not Muslim, when I explain to them about this aspect of it, they're actually very grateful. They actually say things like, no one ever told me this. No one ever actually talked about this. And so they'll actually go out of their way. So when I'm working in my field in social work, it's a lot of women. And so it's obvious that you're going to shake hands or you're going to interact with them. But I've come up with a way that actually, as I'm walking up and I just put my hand to the heart. And I just say, hand to the heart. And they go, what is that? I go, hand to the heart. And they just start smiling. I go, it's another multicultural moment. And they just smile. I go, what are you talking about? And I go, I just... yeah, exactly right. And I was like, I explained to them. And they're so sincere, subhanAllah. One of them said, and when you do that, what am I supposed to do? Because that's how you greet me, so what am I supposed to do? I said, you can do whatever you want to do, but we can't hug. we can't. One of them said, oh, is it Ramadan? guess some Muslims have given the impression that we don't do certain things in Ramadan, but outside of that, it's all, you know. The other one said, no shaking. I said, oh, then can I hug you? I said, no, not that either, right? So I think, as Sheikh Omar said, the idea is that if we take ourselves too seriously, but then forget to explain, the next generation will have it very difficult. Very difficult. But every time you explain, you're taking the trust that Allah has given you with this message, and you're doing your best to convey it. And if you're not clear about it, then at least say that to them. Say, this is something I've been told, I'm not clear about it, but I can try to explain to you more, I'll learn about it more, and they'll respect it. And I was telling him today, some of my colleagues who are men in the field, at professional conferences, they'll actually watch. And if I'm somewhere and a woman is coming towards me to greet me, they'll go from wherever and intercept the handshake. And the woman will be like, what are you doing? And he's like, well, he doesn't shake hands. She's like, what are you doing? Like you're stealing my handshake. So, but they get it. They're trying to help out. So inshallah, we can try to cooperate in that.